It happened, fam. We saw the tweets and things over the last like week and a half, 2 weeks of the Lego Batman event that took place in Los Angeles. It was, of course, an invite-only event where they brought some people out to check out Lego Batman early and see what they thought of it. And I'm pulling up a couple of shots. Where is it? Here it is. I was trying to find Rob's tweets of it. You can see they brought out like Rob, who's of course friend of the channel, super cool guy. Bunch of other people. I'm trying to see if I recognize anybody. So it's a limited camera angle, but they brought them out. They apparently had like this big Lego Batmobile. The entire thing is made out of Lego, which is legitimately really, really cool. They did all sorts of stuff here. They built a little bat cave for people to play and try and experience the game with. And it seems like it was a fun event, but the embargo lifted today. And that's what we are here to talk about, because the previews seem glowing, except a couple of people have raised questions that, paired with some of the other information that's been disclosed, get me actually quite worried and concerned. There's a couple of weird things with it, I will say, that are just kind of strange, where it seems like there is a mix and match in a way that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So if one of these guys could provide clarification, it would be helpful. I have no problem with like paid promotion and going out to an event like this. If you're a creator and you're getting your bag to do coverage, that's totally fine. What's strange to me, just what hits my ear weird, is like PR and ad in the same framing. Like, is it journalistic coverage? Is it like a press coverage, press relations? Is it press, or is it an ad? You know, is it I don't know. I just don't understand why both are there. It's confusing. But having said that, the impressions all seem positive around the gameplay, around what they've done. The red flag that I'll get out of the way up front, and then we'll look at the actual impressions individually and see what people think of it. The red flag is very straightforward, and it ties in with some of the other stuff we've been following with Lego Batman for like a year at this point. They initially dropped the PC requirements, which gives you a rough idea of the state of optimization, how it's built, how it's running. The initial PC requirements they put up required 32 gigabytes of RAM on the minimum, which was insane. Months go by, they update it, say the minimum is now 16 gigs. Better. But when you look at the fine print, it gets weird, okay? They issued this. This was on May 1st. Behold the PC specs, okay? This is what they shared. Minimum i5 10600K, 16 gigs of RAM, a 960. Wow. Okay. So minimum, it can run it at with a 960. That's what, like a decade old card like that. Okay. So it's scalable. That sounds good. And then you look on the high end, it's like 4K, 24 gigs of RAM. Woof. This is a Lego game, by the way. 24 gigs of RAM required for 4K. And that's with a 4070, but okay, that's not bad. But then you look, what's down here? All of these settings, the entire thing has been optimized with upscaling and frame generation assumed. No joke. 24 gigs of RAM, a 4070 or a 9070 XT to run at 4K 60 with DLSS on quality and frame generation turned on. Listen, I think the game looks awesome. That's a poopy. That's bad. This is why I got so excited when like KCD2, they revealed their spec sheet very similarly to this. And I replied to it and I said, hey, Toby, is this optimized with like upscalers and frame generation and stuff? Is this optimized with that stuff or without it? And he's like, no, we optimize without these things turned on, running natively. And then you can add those to get better performance, but we're going to build it assuming those things are turned off. That's the same thing that they did with Crimson Desert. They optimized it, assuming none of those things were being used to hit the floor of performance. And then those types of bells and whistles could be added to enhance performance, which by the way is how it's always been marketed. It was always that like NVIDIA doesn't show in their marketing materials the game being totally unplayable and then DLSS magically making it playable, because that's not how it works. It has to have a foundation of frames to work with in order for it to avoid latency issues or horrible artifacting, ghosting, and things like that. To optimize your game from the ground up, assuming not just DLSS, like just seeing that they were using FSR, DLSS to optimize, that already for me is like, come on. To see that they also are requiring frame generation to be enabled, fam. Now, maybe the game still looks and runs great. Okay, I think this is a game, if you have the hardware to run it and push it, it probably does run really well and look really good. However, in that post I just showed you, Game Riot, who again, I don't really understand the double tag. Warner Brothers invited them and it's PR, so press relations invite, but then also an ad. So I guess they paid Game Riot to post this, which is weird because I don't know. It's just confusing. Anyway, Game Riot posted this. They said play it on PC for 3 to 4 hours. Visually the best looking Lego game I've ever played. I would hope so. Some serious laugh out loud moments for all ages. I totally buy that. I think it looks awesome. Did hit some serious performance issues, particularly during the boss fights and open world. Bear in mind the open world, like this is an open world game. Boss fights, okay, maybe once an hour you get one of the open world. It's kind of, so the game, exactly, Mr. I'm like, you know, it's sending up red flags. Now, or I should say one big red flag, which is performance, because we already thought it was weird that they had 32 gigabytes of RAM requirement when they first announced requirements. That's crazy. And they improved it, got it on a 16 gigs. Okay, that's better. But now to hear that like they are optimizing with frame generation and DLSS and FSR enabled, like even you see the 960, wow, it runs on a 960. Wow, that's impressive. But then you realize that has to be using these like FSR or something, because DLSS isn't supported on the 960 as far as I'm aware. So you'd have to use that and frame generate. Like, this is crazy. So performance is the one massive question mark, the one big red flag that I am going to raise and wave in the air with this, because those requirements are crazy. They just are. Okay. There's a reason people have called it out as crazy, and it's because they're crazy. Now, having said that, let's put a pin in that for now and look at what they actually showed, because they did allow some various outlets to go and try it and check it out. So let's see what like IGN had to say about it. Okay. Too many bats. 4 out of 10.
It pains me to say that it has been over a decade since Arkham Knight launched, and we're still waiting for another truly excellent Batman game to take up its mantle. After Bruce Wayne adjacent disappointments in Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League.
Careful, if you say that too much, they won't invite you. I'm gonna bring it up because it's funny. It's one of those things where it's like everybody knows that's what we're coming off of. I talked to somebody who was at this event actually, and they said that multiple people like that were part of the team, like the team putting on the event and everything. People would bring up like Suicide Squad and the Arkham games, and you'll see why. I mean, obviously, it's very reminiscent of the Arkham games, but they said that every time it was brought up, they got like really weird about it. Like really, really weird about it, which is fascinating. Like if you tried to bring up Suicide Squad, of course they would just not acknowledge it. They wouldn't talk about it. But even the Arkham games, apparently they're just like, like they don't engage with it, which is weird. Like I think there's a lot of baggage when it comes to Rocksteady within Warner Brothers right now. I think they're aware that that is a massive albatross around their throats right now. And it's like this shadow that is skewering and distorting everything that they do, especially within DC with the games. So they're hoping that this just totally changes the narrative. And I do think the game looks really good, but that whole distinction and comparison between Suicide Squad and like Rocksteady in general, the Arkham series, and this is one they seem particularly sensitive to, which I just find very interesting.
It's understandable why so many have seen LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight's counter-based combat and immediately pin their hopes on the line drawn between it and Rocksteady's phenomenal trilogy. The comparison is not unfair. After playing 2.5 hours at a recent preview event, it's clear that Legacy of the Dark Knight is something of a diet Arkham. I say that very much as a compliment. It's got a similar detailed open world, with dozens of distractions, fun mission design, and robust combat. It's just all much lighter, both in tone and mechanics, than its bigger, more photorealistic brother.
It is insane that like Lego is picking up the mantle, like literally. It is actually crazy. Zach, thank you for that 10. Those requirements are why I want to upgrade my fiance's PC, but GPU prices are also too high. The 3050 she stays with, I guess. Yeah, dude, PCs are just crazy right now. Everything's crazy right now, but yeah, I feel ya. It's just, but to be clear, if they thought it was deemed unacceptable to release with those types of requirements, they would delay it and figure it out and fix it up. The reason that they're not delaying it is because they think it's good enough. You know, that's why I think DLSS, FSR, Pisser, even, they're all amazing technologies, okay? Amazing feats of neural network engineering, okay? There's no doubting that. My problem with them is that they become a crutch upon which specifically like executives and producers can lean on to get the game running good enough through their viewpoint to release. So it's not about does it run well, it's does it run well enough to launch. And that's my problem with it, because well enough to an executive usually is not good. It's usually like, really? Like, again, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Jedi Fallen Order, great game. Ran like hot donkey ass at launch. Really bad. Really, really bad. Just like it was not ready for prime time. They eventually updated it, got running way better, but it was deemed to be good enough by overusing upscalers and all sorts of stuff. And that stuff just continues to happen time and time again. And it seems to happen a lot with like licensed IP. I think for one, because they're expensive to put out. And so they just want to get the game out as quick as they can. But also because, let's just be honest, I like Lego. I like Batman. I think a lot of Lego and Batman fanboys and girls are willing to overlook some of those things just so long as the game like tickles that desire they have. And so they're willing to hand wave away performance issues if the game they get, you know, checks off enough of their boxes. And I think that even is, I mean, I think that's a natural reaction people have with things that they're fans of. But I think executives take advantage of that fandom and use it to skip steps and not give teams enough time to get optimization sorted, you know.
The preview demo featured 3 missions from across LEGO Batman's early campaign. The first had me pummeling my way through Penguin's Iceberg Lounge in search of Carmine Falcone, a pursuit based on a sequence from Matt Reeves' incredibly dark The Batman, but re-envisioned with brightly coloured ball pits, a QTE dance number, and a giant mechanical fist that punches doors off their hinges. Later, playing as the Boy Wonder himself, I balanced on tightropes and foiled Two-Face's bombing attempt in a recreation of Batman Forever's introduction to Robin. Rounding out the demo, I beat up monstrous plants in a multi-stage boss fight with Poison Ivy, whose minifigure is based on Batman and Robin's Uma Thurman.
Hell yeah.
Across all 3, I was able to see a solid spectrum of what Legacy of the Dark Knight is capable of. My exploits in the Iceberg Lounge offered the best evidence that LEGO Batman will provide for those seeking Arkham-like adventures. Its frequent brawl pits had me beating Goon minifigures into the dirt.
Oh, did you see that? Watch the bin on the left.
King Arkham-like adventures. Its frequent...
Okay, it's broken. The guy's standing in front of.
Brawl pits had me beating Goon minifigures into the dirt. With
Luke, they're building it. Oh, look at that too.
Adventures. Its frequent brawl pits had me beating Goon minifigures into the dirt. With
it's
success
gone.
practically assured thanks to decade-old muscle memory.
Got me. Not again.
It's never any more advanced than Arkham's baseline attack, dodge, and tap-to-counter system, with Batarangs and grapple gadgets barely offering a deeper layer, but that core formula is undeniably one of the greatest combat systems we've ever had in video games, and it's good to get back to it. Even
It is true. Like, I don't know why we saw this like unilateral across the board abandonment of free flow combat. Like it is still to this day so satisfying and so good and so silky smooth. And they just like all these companies walked away from it. I think honestly, they're going to come after me. They're going to come after me, but I don't care. I'm going to say what I think. Okay. I think a lot of it, I think we would have had a lot more like Middle Earth Shadow of Mordor type games and combat systems. A lot more Batman Arkham series combat systems. Mad Max even, sure. I think, cancel me, I don't care. Yeah, cancel me, I don't care. I think it's the Dark Soulsification. Maybe that's not even a hot take. I think as Dark Souls and Souls-like games started to really skyrocket in popularity, especially with like Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Dark Souls 3, certainly by the time we hit the era of like Elden Ring, years and years later, I think so many companies just started to be like, okay, so gamers just want R1 light attack, R2 heavy attack, a dodge that has iframes, maybe an L1 for parry. Like, I think that the industry just saw that, was like, oh, so that's what people want now, and just leaned too far into that, and they left free flow combat behind. I will say there is a free flow combat game coming up that you should put on your list just to follow up on, called Spine. They call it Gung Fu. But basically it is a free flow combat game where you fight in a free flow combat system with guns, and it's awesome. It's pretty cool. I tried it at Summer Games Fest last year, and it's pretty baller. Of course, it's still a work in progress. When I tried it, they were still working on it, but yeah, it was fun. It was fun. So this is one to follow if you like these types of free flow combat systems. It's pretty baller. Anyway, continuing on.
Even in this comparatively basic form. While I fully expected the fisticuffs, I was surprised to discover that LEGO Batman successfully tries its hand at Arkham's Predator-like stealth too. While you don't need to crouch and hold back on your speed, so long as you stay out of the generously narrow enemy vision cones, you can eliminate entire rooms of enemies one by one, often through the deployment of comedic takedowns, like giving them a noogie or hooking them up to a floating balloon. While nothing I faced in the Iceberg Lounge or beyond posed much of a challenge, there are 3 difficulty options, maxing out at Dark Knight level, which turns off unlimited lives and throws more special enemies into the mix, such.
That's good to hear, because LEGO games often, they can get accused of just being like kiddie games, which I think a lot of the time they're certainly geared towards younger audiences. So having difficulty options to allow younger kids to be able to play it and enjoy it still, while also giving like adults who want more challenge an option, I like that. That's good.
Just towering bruisers, or those armed with guns and shields. While I didn't try this mode myself in the demo, it's the one I expect I'll naturally gravitate to when I play the final release. The Call of Arkham, even a plastic echo of it, is hard to ignore. But it's important to recognise that Legacy of the Dark Knight is more than just a shadow of Rocksteady's giant, and that's where the Hayley's Circus mission comes in. Playing as Robin during his final performance as part of the Flying Graysons, it's predominantly a platforming level. And while its array of zip wires and rotating jump points are basic when compared to Mario's best gauntlets, it wasn't the pushover I expected. In its more challenging moments, where jumps and moving targets demand timing, I tripped up a couple of times due to overconfidence. There's less magnet-like snapping to secure you in place than you'd expect from what is ostensibly a kid's game. The Poison Ivy boss fight swings the focus back to that slick combat system, but its multiple phases pull you in different directions. As bloom-headed minifigures do their best to distract you, Ivy herself is able to sprout a variety of flora that all demand different tricks to avoid. Be that dodging exploding cacti, leaping over swinging vines, or yanking Ivy from atop a giant plant by using your grappling hook. Again, while this isn't particularly challenging on the standard difficulty, it's nonetheless absorbing thanks to the energetic pace and constant switching of attacks and appropriate reactions. I expect this to be particularly fun when played in co-op, especially alongside kids getting their first real taste of the bat. Things shift gears again.
It's a weird way to say that. I heard that, I was like, Ozzy Osbourne. I gotta taste the bat, man. I gotta taste that. Yeah, I mean, even in that, we're seeing like some frame dips, which didn't look that disruptive, but that's concerning. There's also like screen tearing even in this shot here, where you can see like the pretty clean cut. It's harder to tell in an exported video with IGN quality compression, but there's little things that to me I'm like, oh yeah, that lines up.
When Ivy summons her double-headed Snapdragon, and a new set of attack patterns must be avoided, including jumping between giant leaves as they dissolve in acid.
This doesn't look eco-friendly.
I'll admit that I'm no LEGO game aficionado, and have spent little time with 2022's LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, which saw developer TT Games push further into traditional video game territory. But I can certainly say that, across these missions, I was left with the sense that this is the best feeling LEGO game that I've personally played. So far, it seems more fully formed and wider scoped than the bash around fun LEGO IP games of the early 2010s.
I will say this concept feels like a modernization of the formula. Like the Skywalker Saga just ended up being such a collectathon. I know some people love collectathons. For me, it just was exhausting. I was like, it's fun. I like the game, but bro, it's just, I fell off it, man. But seeing this, I'm like, LEGO mixing and matching like the best of Batman stories from the last 40 years with the open world adventuring of like the Arkham trilogy. That's baller, dude. That's baller.
I suspect the real key to its success, though, will be its open world. Legacy of the Dark Knight takes place in a gorgeous rendition of Gotham City, which you're free to prowl around between the main missions. Again, it owes at least a minimal debt to Rocksteady's interpretation. Its architecture. Again, it owes at least a minimal debt to Rocksteady's interpretation.
Yeah, like, I don't know if it's just coincidental. A lot of the shots, like, you do see pop-in and effects in the distance, and it's just cut around just enough. Watch the building. Where it's like trimmed around so you don't notice it unless you have an eye for it. Come on. Come on. Yeah, like right here. You see it like weirdly pops. I don't know why it's doing that. It's weird because the new model version looks less detailed than the old one. Like this has all the letters going up and down it, and then it snaps and disappears. And so it looks like as you're getting closer, it's getting less detailed. I don't understand that. But there's weird things like that where like if you're looking for it, you can start to see it. And it's just why I'm cautious with preview videos because you just never know.
More debt to Rocksteady's interpretation. Its architecture, the way you navigate it, and the general moody atmosphere evoke Arkham Knight. But the wider palette of influences means there's a fun array of billboards, shops, and other points of interest that evoke the Art Deco animated series and a lifetime of cinema visions. Together, they feel cohesive, and create a very classic feeling version of DC's most important metropolis.
Careful, Catwoman. These guys didn't come to play.
While the city's
dude,
footprint
even there, did you see that?
Careful, Catwoman. These guys didn't come to play.
Yeah, so that wasn't the stream. That's like actually the game just hitching. I can't wait for the Digital Foundry breakdown of this. Yeah, where it's just dropping a number of frames. Like all that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like again, when you're compressing a video and then it goes down to 60 frames, you know, it might get squished and you don't notice it as much. But
DC's most important metropolis.
Careful, Catwoman.
When paired with the other stuff we know, which is that the system requirements are
While the city's
crazy,
footprint appears small
it
when
makes me
compared to
worried.
grown-up open worlds, it is generously peppered with activities and distractions. These, of course, include Riddler trophies, as well as their new sibling, the Cluemaster puzzles, which, for example, ask you to seek out 3 items based on picture hints. Other classically styled options include traversal and combat trials.
Even that. Am I going crazy? Like, let me know. I don't want to be like a nitpicking jerkwad, but like, is this just me or are you guys seeing it too?
Hints. Other classically
As it goes up the stairs, it hitches like 3 times.
styled options include traversal and combat trials.
You see that? Like right there and there. So twice.
Points by fixing the Subwayne system, rescuing escape
Really? Yeah, I know it's surprising. Really, Luke? You don't want to be a nitpicking jerkwad? Really? I just like, it's important to be fair, and it's important to also remember that the game is in development. They have like 2 weeks, but I mean, I guess I think when this event happened, they had like 3 weeks. So it's possible this is an older version of the game. It's been patched and improved. But again, when you just pair it with what we also know, which is that the requirements to run it are shockingly high, it just gives me pause, you know? gives me pause.
zoo animals, and responding to the random crimes that
There-
occur across the city's many streets and alleyways. Yes, this is a Gotham with a bustling population of minifig civilians, all ready to be mugged by a supervillain's henchmen.
Their fighting skills are almost as bad as their fashion choices.
And I guess I should also clarify, this doesn't matter in some games as much as it does in others. Games with combat systems that rely on tight parry windows and input precision, this affects it much more. Hitching is like a big problem. I've not played this, so I don't know. Maybe the combat system is so forgiving that it doesn't really matter. What I do know is that trying to play like a Batman Arkham game in like a combat challenge, going with 100 combo counter, challenge or something, trying to do that with hitching is a living nightmare. Like, because you could get the input right, but because the game hitched, it doesn't count properly. And so you still get hit, you break your combo, and you wasted all that time. And so it does matter, especially with free flow combat systems, usually, which is why I think this matters.
While I poked around those familiar options, during my demo time I found myself more interested in the Falcone Fortune, a chain of side quests that sees you help Catwoman break into a series of apartments and rinse them of their valuables. Each property has a safe hidden behind a unique puzzle. You might need to piece together a key, spin statues into the correct alignment, or send an actual cat into small spaces to retrieve objects.
That's fun.
Again, this is all relatively easy stuff, but I love the use of Catwoman's unique abilities, from her glass-cutting claws to a wonderfully tactile safe-cracking minigame, which makes the whole event feel gleefully like cat burglary. The real highlight of the open world, though, is bombing around Gotham in one of the many Batmobiles. The driving in LEGO Batman is
Oh, are they just not going to acknowledge it? Maybe it's the last thing he brings up. Are they just not going to mention all these frame tips that we're seeing? Like, if they don't, that's crazy. Surely he's going to bring it up at the end. I've not watched this yet, so I don't know if he does, but like just...
world, though, is bombing around Gotham in one of the many Batmobiles.
Whoa,
the driving in
whoa.
LEGO Batman is surprisingly good.
Bro, this is, again, I cannot stress this enough. This is with frame generation and DLSS, presumably. If that's the requirements, you would assume they had it running with the requirements at the preview event. Not to mention, they're probably running this on like the top tier hardware you can to make it look and run as best as it possibly can. Not what like a normal person is going to have. And so if we're still seeing this, woof, I'm starting to understand why they might not have wanted me there.
The handling is arcadey without sacrificing weight. There's a good sense of heft as you swing these Goth motors around corners.
Yeah,
and thundering
swing
through
those Goth
traffic
motors.
feels fantastic, especially when you hammer the throttle and engage that iconic afterburner.
Throttle.
Racing time trials provide a more structured goal for Wayne's wheels, but for me the joy was in reliving the Batman fantasy of responding to crimes at 100 miles per hour. That's only enhanced by the selection of bricky
What, dude?
replicas, which in my demo included Tim Burton's iconic 1989 Lamb Rocket, Nolan's two-wheel Batpod, the
Dude,
roaring
I think that unironically is like in the low 20s, right? That was crazy.
muscle car of the Batman, and even the plastic monstrosity that Val Kilmer was saddled with in Batman Forever.
Bro. Okay, if he does not mention performance, I think I'm going to actually crash out. Like, this is insane. To like put the footage on, if he's not going to acknowledge it or mention it, I'm going to lose my mind. Does he? Don't tell me. It'll be a surprise.
That Val Kilmer was
Like-
saddled with in Batman Forever.
Bro.
Of someone both snatching and grabbing.
Not to mention like the pop in the distance, that I get it. Some people can tune that out, but bro, it's hitching. There's got to be some joke here. It's hitching like a pickup truck at a farm, man. Can you tell I've never worked on a farm? It has a hitch. That's what I'm thinking of. Moving on.
Yes, Legacy of the Dark Knight is very much equal opportunities when it comes to all flavors of the Caped Crusader. And it's this approach, rather than its co-opting of Arkham ideas, that I think not only defines it, but makes it worth paying attention to. By gluing together plastic recreations of the Dark Knight's big screen outings and retelling them in a gorgeous open world, TT Games has created what appears to be a wonderful, joyful, and significant evolution of what LEGO IP games
Wait, no way. He breaks out the door and then watch this hitch that they kept in the video.
a wonderful, joyful, and significant evolution of what LEGO IP
Okay, so they left that in the video. If he does not mention performance, bro, I'm going to actually crash out. Surely there's There's 36 seconds left.
games have always been. Movie tie-ins that let our inner 7-year-olds, or indeed our actual 7-year-olds, relive the cinematic magic. By building atop the achievements of LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, The Legacy of the Dark Knight appears to be a new remix of the plastic brick's ambitions. And it's that which ultimately proves more interesting than its Arkham overlap. For more from LEGO Batman...
Bro, how am I supposed to take IGN seriously? You're showing me the actual footage where it's stuttering like I don't even know, like a car engine that was filled with peanut butter instead of gasoline. Like it's a bit of a mess, and you're not gonna acknowledge it. Like, you're not even gonna mention it. You're just gonna blow right past it, hope nobody noticed, which is like, what's even more insane is that they show the footage, which the game looks good. I wanna be very, very clear. Like, people in the comments are mentioning it. Performance looks sketchy. The fact that you need a 3080 with DLSS and frame gen to play Lego Batman or a Lego game is ridiculous. Too many bats, 6 out of 10, yeah. But like, you need a 4K PC if you want it above 40 FPS, by the way. I want to be clear. The game looks good. The performance looks bad, okay? And this is where I think that there's an obligation. And maybe this is just like at the end of the day, a fundamental disconnect between what we feel our roles are. I view like having a platform and talking about games as like a pretty serious responsibility, because when I tell you guys a game is awesome and you should check it out, I understand that some of you are going to be like, okay, bet. And you're going to spend your money on that. So if I say something and I don't mean it, or if the game's actually really bad and you spend your money and waste your money, that's a big deal. Like, I would feel terrible about that. That's why I'm very cautious when you guys come into chat and you're like, hey, should I get this game or this game? I'm like, oh, that's a big responsibility. And so we'll break it down, but I'm like, it's a big deal. And so when IGN is coming in and like hyping something up in something that's not a disclosed promotional piece, like if they come out and say, hey, Warner Brothers paid us to make this coverage and to talk about these aspects of the game, that's fine. That's why there's disclosures. It's okay to promote something if you tell people you're promoting it, if you tell people you were paid to promote it. The fact that we can't tell the difference between paid promotion and just apparently your normal stuff is, I think, part of the problem, because there's clearly red flags. There's things that customers should be aware of before they spend money, like the performance, that's just being totally ignored, while it's also being shown to people, but not acknowledged. Like, and that's I think a problem that should again be addressed. You're showing me clips with like actually severe stuttering and frame dips. We know that the requirements are super heavy, which implies optimization issues. All of this is compounding at the same time. You're showing me footage that seems to verify those issues, and you just don't acknowledge it. It's weird. Ad for sure. My understanding is if they were paid to put this video together, they would have to disclose it under like FTC guidelines. That's my understanding. I don't know what the potential like loophole would be that they wouldn't have to disclose it, but it's just crazy to see that they just don't even acknowledge it. I think maybe part of it is that it's just like, hey, let's hype it up, let's talk about it, let's be positive. But I think the problem with positivity at the end all be all is that sometimes stuff can fall through the cracks, and you can end up in a spot where the positivity ends up not acknowledging clear red flags and problems that people should be aware of. There are, based on what I'm seeing, there are going to be people who buy this game on like Steam, try to play it, realize it runs terribly, and they're going to be surprised because they saw the IGN coverage that made it sound fine, and they never mentioned performance issues. So what's the big deal? And because again, they're playing it at these preview events on like the best possible hardware. And so if their capture is still showing these problems, imagine what it runs like on not a $4,000 PC, but on like a $2,000 PC, a $1,500 PC. God forbid you try to run this on a Steam Deck, you know? To their credit, Game Riot again. I think I've met the head of Game Riot years ago. I think he looks very familiar. To his credit, he actually acknowledges it and brings it up. Did hit some serious performance issues, particularly during boss fights in the open world, which is where we saw the performance hits come in, was during the Poison Ivy boss fight, and traversing the open world, going up those steps and flying around and racing in the car and stuff is where we saw the problems too. So he brings it up and acknowledges it. Even though the post appears to be an ad, acknowledges it and brings it up, which again, this is the key. Disclosure is good. If you're paid for coverage and you disclose it, I have no problem with that. You got to disclose it though. And most companies want to disclose it and require you to disclose it because they're the ones that get sued if you don't, which is why it's just so weird that IGN's coverage looks like paid promotion, even though apparently it isn't. But let's see one more tidbit. I wanted to see if Game Informer mentioned anything about performance.
At Dub Bendy Straws donated $19.99 through Super Chat. Hey Luke, looking to invest in a gaming PC, ideally rocking a RTX 5080 and 64GB of RAM. If I'm looking to target 4K at 60 to
if I'm looking to target 4K 60 to 120 FPS, how many console generations years from now do you think that setup will last? 5080. So my personal, first of all, thank you for the 20, very generous. My personal expectation is that next generation is going to be much more cross-generational than even the PS5 was, because I think hardware prices are going to be so insane that very few people are actually going to go and like be buying PlayStation 6s at launch. So I think you're going to have a good amount of leeway in terms of how they're building games. They're going to build them for last gen and current gen, probably into the mid 2030s would be my guess, honestly. So I personally would expect that you're good for 5 to 10 years with something like a 5080. That would be my expectation. Yeah, barring some major technological leap or something, but that would be my expectation. I think he'll be good for a long time. I like Randy Pitchford said it's a premium game for premium gamers. Yeah, literally, I forgot about that, dude. Randy is the ultimate example of somebody that just needs to put the phone down. Like, just put it down. It's literally the South Park bit of put it down if you're running a gaming company today. Like, literally, just stop tweeting for real. He's like, yeah, we don't support AI use. Yesterday he posted an AI generated picture of him. Like, it's just so funny. Anyway. So all of this to say with Lego Batman, I think the game looks good as a game. I think it needs time in the oven. I think it needs time to cook. Rushing it out, I think there's going to be fans that are willing to put up with it and hand wave it away and it'll be whatever. But I think it's clear that it's not ready. These requirements are wild to begin with. And the reason this matters is because in a free flow combat game, timing does matter. It literally matters. It's the difference between you landing that hit or not. I mean, it could make the combat feel significantly worse. And as we saw with the driving sections, when they're stuttering while driving, that's a nightmare. So it's just one of those things that does directly affect the quality of the gameplay experience. And it's just something that shouldn't, as far as I'm concerned, it shouldn't be a debate. Like, your game should be able to run steady and solid without the use of frame generation. Like, it just shouldn't need all of this. Those are supposed to be additive. Even in NVIDIA's marketing, they always show it running at a playable frame rate, and then they show like, add these features in Resident Evil Requiem, and you go from 90 frames to 210 frames. And it's always framed as additive. It's not framed as getting it to the baseline. This, though, is requiring it for the baseline, which is wild. Like, it's just crazy. But they'll do it because they think that they can, it's good enough that they can get away with it. Warner Brothers has been known for a long time to do what they think they can get away with, and I think that this is an instance of that, where they've done the calculus and they think that their audience and the audience for this game isn't going to mind it at least enough for them to justify delaying it and spending millions on the delay to fix it up. At this point, it's kind of too late, so I don't think they could delay it even if they wanted to. They've already paid for all the marketing and promotion and stuff, so I don't think that they would delay it even if they really, really wanted to. So it's kind of too late. It is what it is, but we'll find out at launch just how it runs. What I cannot get over is, again, that we see in the IGN coverage and footage, stuttering, we see frame dips, we see all of these things, and they just don't even acknowledge it. Like, even in some of the most egregious examples, he runs through the door and it freezes, dude. Like, one instance of that is not going to ruin the game. But if that's running on the best possible hardware in the best possible scenario, and these are 3 missions they specifically selected to show people because they thought it was indicative of the best parts of the game, imagine what the worst optimized parts look like. At least the grass looks good. I'll give you that. And there's also a part where he runs out the door and then the model warps back in the building for like a frame. Wait for it. So he runs out and then wait for it. It like pops in the center of the screen, center of the room for like a frame when he runs out. Almost there. See? Blink and you'll miss it. Blink and you'll miss it. If you don't have an eye for these things, thank the good Lord, because once you have an eye for it, once you've experienced like top tier like gaming performance, this stuff drives you crazy because you see it and then you can't unsee it, man. Like you just can't unsee it. It's crazy. So anyway, Flash confirmed. Oh, what if that would actually be really funny if it was like, that's not a bug, that's a feature. That would be really funny. It's their stop motion mechanic, Luke. Oh, I didn't know. That explains it. Yeah, IGN thought it was an artistic point, or artistic choice and added a point. Yeah, it was me, Barry. There you go. So anyway, I think the game looks awesome. Performance is a major concern and red flag for me. I'm glad to see some people are calling it out because it is readily apparent to me, looking at the footage, that there are concerning issues here. I'll do some digging. I'll ask around, see if other people had similar issues that are willing to talk about it. They may not be willing to talk about it, but this is one where if you're playing on PC especially, I would be cautious and wait until you see like a Digital Foundry analysis or something breaking down how it will actually run on your hardware. Because again, I cannot stress this enough. These events are always put up and presented specifically to make the game look as good as it possibly can, which is what you would expect. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but it's important to understand that, because when you are looking at the preview, if you think that this is how it's going to look for you, that can lead to misunderstandings or you know, expectations that are off. It's why for like Crimson Desert coverage, I stressed many times, like, we haven't seen what it looks like on this console yet. We need to wait. If you're on that console, wait until you see what it looks like there. If you're running on, you know, this hardware, it's not going to look like the cinematic quality version that you see on a 5090. It's going to look different. We have to stress those things. With Lego Batman, it seems like they're playing on PlayStation controllers, but on PC. And that brings up questions of like console performance and things like that. Maybe it's way better optimized, but bro, like, this concerns me. He also just hit a woman in a wheelchair. Did you see that? See, she's in the wheelchair, dead center, plows into her. Oh, she rolls out of the way. Okay, I'll give her that. Yeah, but there's like pretty aggressive pop in, which worries me, and frame dips galore. Like, you can see the guys popping in the street. It covers up well with the heavy compression. Watch over here. There's pop in that's going to come up. Like, there's just a lot. So I hope they fix all of these problems before launch, because I think the game looks awesome and I want it to be awesome. But the performance is like a big question mark for me, and it's amazing to me to see IGN's own footage that has all these problems and they just don't acknowledge it, which is insane. So there you go. He took my thing.